Yeah, that was Ohio Valley for tonight. And really, I guess the only other thing to talk about today is the TNA pay-per-view on Sunday, which Vince and I will be going to. And I'm going to run down the matches, and I'm going to get Vince's comments on them. So,
my first comment is we're going to be watching this one from Brent Kremen's apartment again, which is always an adventure. Should I tell the story about Brent's apartment? Do we have time?
I had it written down here. Any good Brent stories? I was going to ask after the TNA thing, so go ahead. Tell me the Brent.
All right. Brent Kremen lives in a small apartment in Seattle. It's a classic inner-city apartment with the one tiny bedroom and the tiny kitchen and the tiny living room and the bathroom down the hall. And about 2 weeks ago, I owed him $10 because I had not paid him for the last TNA show. And actually, just last week, we were watching Raw. He calls during Raw, and he is so desperate for this $10 that I owe him that he says he's willing to have me mail a check for $10. And I thought, well, Jesus, Brent, you live 5 minutes down the road. I'll just stop by tomorrow night and just drop it off. So I did. I went down there at the prearranged time. I think I said I'd be there at 10:30 or whatever. And I stopped by, and he's got the apartment thing where you got to hit the button for the apartment to let the person in the apartment come down the stairs and let you in the front door. First of all, I couldn't remember what his apartment number was. So I went there for like 5 minutes, and it was about like 10:30 or 11 at night. I didn't want to wake someone up and have them come down and shoot me. So I called Bryan. He didn't know the number. And finally, I just decided I was going to pick a button at random and hit it. And I did. And I pressed the button. I tried to talk to Brent, and Brent was not there. No one was there. So I was a little alarmed by this. Then I turned around, and I saw the mailboxes, and I saw I had actually hit the right button because I had Brent Kremen's name next to his apartment number. So I tried again. Brent was still not there. By now, it had been 10 minutes after when I was supposed to be there. So.
Wait a second. You noticed a mailbox after you'd started pushing random buttons?
Yes.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. But I got the right one anyway. So finally, Brent is suddenly standing next to me on the sidewalk because he had gone for a walk or something. So I calmed down. He was there. I didn't care. I had his money. I gave him his money. He insisted I come up and see his new apartment because the reason he is not in his old apartment was because he had moved, and the only thing left in the old apartment was a telephone, and he didn't want to be sitting by the phone board. This is a Brent Kremen thing to do. So he takes me. It's another apartment.
Do you know why he moved out of his apartment?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
I do. He takes me into his new apartment, which is in the same building. So we go down the stairs, past the bar, up to the third floor, down a hallway.
That should tell you what kind of a hell of apartment complex this is.
Yeah,
you pass the bar.
It's built around a bar.
Yeah.
We go to his new apartment, and I swear to the Lord above, it's exactly the same as his old apartment.
Yes.
He tells me it's smaller, and I'm looking around. Not only is it not any smaller, I think it's actually nicer. The kitchen looks better done, but I wasn't asking any questions. So I saw Brent's new apartment. I was going to give him his money and go home. I handed him his money, and I finally was asked, so why did you move, Brent? And he said, oh, well, look behind you. And I looked behind me, and there's a bathroom with a toilet and a tub and a shower. How exciting.
Yes.
Indoor plumbing. And I thought, wow, well, I would probably think about moving for that. And Brent says, they tell me girls will like that better. And I thought, well, that's probably true.
It usually is a plus to have facilities in your place of...
Now, that being said, it is true. Girls will like that better. However, that's not Brent's problem. It's not that he's getting girls home and they're saying, you don't have a bathroom, then leaving.
Yes.
He's way down the list of things he needs to change to get women into his life. For starters, he insisted I stick around. There's a large box of pornography on the floor because he just finished moving. And being myself, I couldn't help but say, hey, pornography. That I regret because he spent the next 15 minutes pouring through this box of porn, looking for one magazine in particular. Well, I really just wanted to go home at this point. And then he pulled out...
the visual of you and Brent Kremen sitting on the floor of his new apartment together...
I was standing rubbing my temples.
Jesus, you got the rubbing part.
Oh, shut up.
I was just thinking of you and Brent sitting on the floor of his new apartment, huddled around a box of pornography. This is the most distressing thing I've ever heard of.
It's not as much fun as it sounds. So Brent finally finds the magazine he's looking for. It's the Girls of the Pac-10 issue. And he says, I got it signed. And he turns to some floozy from the UW, and he says, look. And I said, and sure enough, it was signed by whatever her name was. I said, wow, Brent, that's great. And he said, no, turn the page. And I turned the page, and there was another nude woman who'd signed her name. And Brent looked at me as if I was supposed to be impressed or
in
blown
awe.
away or in awe. And I thought, well, that's great, Brent. And he said, wait, there's one more. And I thought, let me guess, Brent. I'm going to turn the page, and there'll be a naked woman who has signed her name. And I turned it, and sure enough, she had signed her name and then written, Go Dogs.
That is incredible.
He was so proud of this autographed issue of Playboy.
You know what we need to do is we actually
ran screaming from the apartment.
we need to actually interview Brent on this show. I think that we should do that. I don't know if he's going to be up at like 1:44 a.m., but we're going to have to arrange a day where he's up that late and actually just talk to Brent about being Brent Kremen. Because I will just briefly tell the story of how I came to know Brent Kremen, and that is this was like 1996. I went to a show, and I was watching Sid in the Ring or whatever. I can't remember when it was or where, but some fan threw a pop at Sid and hit him in the head and was immediately ejected. And then later, I thought nothing of this. And then like 2 years later, I guess, Brent had been reading for a while, and somehow we were going to hook up to go to this show, and he began bragging to me that one day he'd been at this show, and he threw a whole thing of pop at Sid and had been ejected. And I thought, oh my God, you're the guy who in 1996 I thought was the dumbest fan I'd ever seen in my life. And that's Brent Kremen. That's how I met him.
Yeah.
And I should note that half the pornography that he has is actually the Penthouse columns,
yes.
Because I didn't really want to collect them. So he is sort of the archivist of the Penthouse issues.
The Brian Alvarez Penthouse columns.
Oh, yeah. So, Granny, if you're wondering, Brent Kremen has all the issues, because I know she's got a couple as well.
The first time I ever met, we could do a whole show on Brent.
We could.
I'll do the story because it's quick. The first time I ever met Brent Kremen, me and Brian and Brent went up to In Your House Rock Bottom in Vancouver, BC, which had the... Mankind Rock main event, and then Austin and Undertaker in the Buried Alive match. It was a really bad show. But we were driving back, and Brent Kremen by this point had totally gotten on our nerves. And an important detail of Mr. Kremen's life, as you will learn if he ever is on the show, he's Jewish.
Yes.
He's very, very Jewish. And I'm not an anti-Jewish person, but Brent Kremen was on my nerves so much that we spent the entire drive home trying to convince him that he should eat pork.
Oh, yes. This was a 2-hour conversation. In fact, we could have the same conversation on this show.
God.
Because he's so passionate. And in fact, you know what? Keep talking for a second. I got to play this.
Okay.
I hope Brent's not listening, because if he knows we played this...
is this the message? Do you still have that message?
Oh, I've saved this message.
God.
So
this has nothing to do with his religion, but
hold on.
He always claims, getting back to the women thing, he wants to marry a nice
Jewish
girl.
Hold on. Ready? Listen up.
Sergeant, he's a pervert. He's a child molester. This is crap. He's guilty of sin. He's not guilty of extortion. I'll give him that. This is crap. So money will get you. No attack on charity. He'll be guilty on that. What? No, you're not. You gotta at least masturbate in front of the kids. My God.
Okay, I'm going to play that one more time after I explain it to you. Basically, Brent Kremen was watching live as the Michael Jackson verdict was being read, and he decided to call his friend, who I guess he'd been debating Michael Jackson with, and I guess give this person commentary as the verdict was being read. And he called my number by mistake. And
thank God.
I don't even know if he listened to the machine and knew that he was calling me, but this is a rant about Michael Jackson as the verdict is being read. So let me just play it one more time so you guys can hear the entire thing in all its glory.
He's a pervert. He's a child molester. This is crap. He's guilty of sin. He's not guilty of extortion. I'll give him that. This is crap. So money will get you. No attack on charity. He'll be guilty on that.
What the hell did he say?
And then it just ends, just like that.
We love you, Brent.
We've got to get Brent Kremen
Call
on
him
the
right
show.
now.
I can't call him right now. He'd be way too upset.
Oh,
but,
God, it's late. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, so anyway, okay, that's it for the Brent Kremen. Actually, just one more very quickly. A very quick Brent Kremen story is one day we went to a show in Yakima, and Sid was going to be there, and Brent actually, I believe we missed the first few minutes of the show because Brent insisted we go to Target to buy a squeegee because he had to wave a squeegee around from the front row to harass Sid with. And, of course, Sid completely no-sold him. But, yeah, Brent Kremen.
Sunday night, folks. We'll be at El Casa de Kremen.
And we'll set it up. We'll set up the big interview. So let's very quickly go into the lineup for Sacrifice.